Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to the hashtag Lockboss Show and Giveaway. I am PJ, and I tell you what, we have a full show for you today. Now, I do need to say, Julio, I might need your help throughout the day today. We have special guests on, so let's keep the confession music to a minimum, and just keep the bloopers to the minimum as well. So I tell you what. Coming up today, we're going to be going over the post of the week, the comment of the week. We're going to have some of our friends on from LockLabs/AutoProPad, and we're going to be talking all things AutoProPad, and then have a little fun as well talking about NASTF. So we'll see where that leads us and have some fun doing that. And then, of course, we're going to be announcing this week's 5 lucky Lockboss winners. So that's kind of what we have planned. And then if you remember here a few weeks back, we were talking about Jimmy J, our friend Jimmy J, Iowa Lock Dog. My guess he's somewhere in the comments somewhere. And anyway, so he has a Discord, and he is wanting to start to, and he brought up to me to start doing some sort of Lockboss after show party over in his Discord. So before I actually forget, Julio, you might need to remind me a few times. Let me grab this Discord link and let me throw it here in the chat. And Jimmy, feel free to answer any questions on that as well. And he actually has a little tiny video for us. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the video really quick and make sure we're all on the same page here. And Julio has me doing this all by myself today. So I'm going to see if we can't do it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here's a quick message from our friend Jimmy J.
Hey everybody, it's Jimmy J with Iowa Lock Doc, inviting you to head over to Discord tonight after the live stream is over, and we'll just hang out. Kind of like a tailgate, it's a little bit of an after party, and we can talk shop, we can talk about anything that we've seen during the live stream, or share business experiences or problems that we've encountered. We can try to find a solution and kind of be that location where we can go to just bounce ideas off each other. We've had great conversations in the chat, and we can continue those afterwards. It may last a half an hour, may last an hour and a half. Depends on how long you want to stick around, and we will just see how this goes. It's trial balloon here, so we'll have a little fun with it tonight. You'll see a link in the chat tonight. That link will look like this, and to use Discord, you can either go to discord.com and download the app for Windows, or you can use Discord in your browser. Either one should work out fine. When you get to the server, just click on the join button, and you may have to adjust your mic or video settings. If you do want to use video, you don't have to, but just go ahead and jump in. We'll just kind of see what we come up with. It'll be like having just a big room full of fun people that we all know because we've been in the chat with each other for so long, and we'll just see how this turns out. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think it'll be something that we can look forward to. Hope to see you there tonight.
All right. Hey, Jimmy J, nice job on the video. Although you did say, that you made some bloopers on that. And you know how we feel about bloopers around here, right? It's what keeps us coming back. So no, Jimmy J, great job. And I'm looking forward to, of course, after the live today, shortly after, I'll be hopping in the Discord as well. And who knows what we'll be talking about, but it should be fun. Jimmy J, great idea. I love it. I love it. All right. So let me close. I don't know what this is here. Let me see what happens when I do that. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, so we got that going on, and we'll check that out here in a minute. All right, let's keep the show going here. All right, so Lockboss season 3.11 posts of the week. This one comes from John S. John S says, love the screwdriver. I like it there. You can see the screwdriver, what is that, right middle of the screen. John S, thanks not only for being here, but taking a pic and sending it in to us. I like it. Next up, this one comes from Pedro. Pedro, what's up? He says, thank you so much for the Lockboss merch. Absolutely, Pedro. Thanks for being here as well. Next up, we got the comment of the week. And this one comes from I'm Gumby Dang It. Gumby, what's up? He says, I love walking and browsing hardware stores. Went to a tool show this weekend. I always browse door hardware, looking for a steal of a deal. The Lockfather makes so many very good points about walking traffic, could reduce car key sales and lumber sales. Very good, Gumby. Thanks for weighing in. I like it. All right, so here in just a quick moment, I'm going to be bringing a guest up, Mo from Lock Labs. And I just want to say real quick, I see you on the chat. Thanks. I missed you guys last week. Glad to be back. Of course, the staff did a great job filling in for me. If I don't watch it, I'm going to be out of a job doing this. I'm going to be having to watch this show with you all. So I'm going to try to up my game a little bit before they take my job. But all right, so with that being said, we have Mo coming on here right now, and we're going to talk about the G3 and NASTF. Mo, what is up?
What's up, PJ? How are you?
Doing pretty good. Hey, thanks for coming and joining me. And I always forget, Mo, as you know, I don't know if you know, but I love Topo Chico. Do you like Topo?
I'm not sure I've ever had it. You want to send me a case or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, send you just cases and cases. It's some of the best stuff on the planet. It's mineral water from Monterrey, Mexico. So
it looks refreshing. I have just a plain old boring water.
Boring water. I even opened up a special one just for now. I typically drink a few of these a day. I can't help myself, Mo.
I'm the same way with whiskey.
Okay. Very nice. So Mo, hey, so thanks for coming on. I asked you to come on, and I was wanting to kind of talk to you about the AutoProPad and really all things AutoProPad. Of course, I have the G3 sitting right here. As I was gone, I was out of town last week, and I was actually just talking to the team, and they just got done recording a video programming with it, and they really liked it. So it's good stuff. But if I could, I want to kind of back up a minute and kind of take us up through to kind of today. So you guys started with the AutoProPad, and then you went to the G2, and now we're on to the G3. And if you can kind of walk us through like where the AutoProPad started and kind of where it is today with the G3.
Sure. So we initially began the AutoProPad project in about 2015. And over the course of a year, we made enough refinements to the machine, to feel comfortable enough to release it in the U.S. So we launched close to 2016 or early 2016 with that very first machine, which is just the AutoProPad. Well, we call it the full now, but back then it was just the AutoProPad. And then after that, about a year or two after that, we had the light version. And then we got into the G2. What year was that? Roughly 2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
The tail end of 2020, I guess. We launched a new machine in the thick of COVID. That was different, but and so now here we are with the third iteration, which really is a culmination of everything that we've learned, through the nearly decade of doing this. So the G3 really is, like the best of everything. I dedicated a year of my life to, keep doing everything from the UI design to figuring out how to refine the workflow so it would still feel familiar, but would still be an improvement without, becoming something people had to relearn. So, really the goal was to like mitigate button presses and try and automate things to the best of our ability. So, even the most seasoned users could feel, the benefit of that, the reduction in the time spent on the vehicle. Outside of the G3 having a refined workflow, the architecture and the hardware lend themselves to this machine just being blazing fast. And we're seeing on some systems, like there's like some Honda systems, for example, where we're seeing like a 400% increase in speed as compared to the G2. So I'm pretty happy with how things are going. Obviously, we just launched a couple months ago, so there's going to be some things to work through in the beginning stages. But it seems already like those kinds of launch issues are far less impactful than, say, when we launched the G2, where I felt like we were in beta for like a year, while we were trying to navigate that whole thing. So it's nice to not have this be even my second rodeo. It's my third. So yeah.
So I mean, I want to talk about the UX for a minute. You have a very, like, is it your style? It has a very, I mean, what do you call it? I mean, almost like Vegas look to it. You're right. Is that like your baby doing all of that, or is that something that you kind of inherited?
No, that's all me. So the G2, I went for, so again, because it was COVID, right? I wanted to, bring out a little bit of nostalgia in people because, it was such a crappy time with all the lockdowns and whatnot, that I wanted people to just kind of look and reminisce about like maybe their childhood. Or so the vaporwave thing is it's ubiquitously 1980s. But of course it had a modern touch to it. And so with the G3, which I have the box right here, this iteration, it's kind of can you guys see that okay? Yep. It's like the upgrade to vaporwave. So this style is cyberwave. So it's a little less 80s like foundational and more just retrofuturism with a with a 2024 kind of twist. I guess that's the best way for me to explain it. Okay. But I wanted it to feel revolutionary and futuristic without that theme getting in the way, and I think we were able to kind of hit those marks.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Hey, good job on it. It has a real cool kind of feel to it. So nice work on that.
Thank you.
So like, what was kind of walk me through a few of these things here. So I want to talk about so we've been kind of talking about like the flagship version, the G3. Years ago, you started with, you had a basic, you then had a light, and now what are you calling the other unit?
So the entry level unit is the core, which I have down here. So this, I don't know if there's so much glare and how well you can see that. So that's the AutoProPad core, and that is the successor to the basic, where it doesn't do EEPROM. It's strictly an OBD programmer, and there's a hardwired connection to the OBD. So it's just business as usual for the AutoProPads in that product line. It is less expensive than the basic was by, I believe, $100, which is nice. And then the flagship model is the Evolution, and that got its name because it has a wireless VCI, which is right here actually. Fits in the palm of your hand, and this is great because as our locksmiths know, some people's cars are either too hot or too cold or too nasty, full of heroin needles and fast food bags. Yeah. So this is nice. So you could just plug in. I believe you could walk up to about 30 feet away and just chill in your van or pace around and smoke cigarettes. While you're programming, you don't have to stay inside the car.
Sure.
And because it's not Bluetooth, it's actually Wi-Fi. It's a Wi-Fi connection between the dongle and the tablet. It's super fast. It's really fast.
Okay.
The pairing process is instantaneous. Most people don't even notice it's happening. It just happens basically as soon as you turn on the machine, connects to the VCI, and off you go.
Okay, very cool. Now, if someone were to buy either one of them, and I see some of the comments kind of going as we're going here, and I just want to frame the question where it kind of fits everything, which would be something like whether or not you buy the basic one, or excuse me, the core or the G3. So when you buy them, you get tech support, right? And you get updates.
Correct.
After the 1 year of when you purchase it, is the price for tech support for the following year the same on no matter which one you get, or is there a price difference between the two?
Oh, that's a good question. Since every machine comes with 1 full year of tech support and updates, I kind of had that amount of time to decide like how we're going to do this moving forward. I'd imagine that the G3s, like, because these are both Generation 3 machines, would be on the same plan, because really the benefits would be the same across both platforms.
Okay.
So, but I don't know yet. And I don't even know what the final price is going to be on either. I'd imagine it would be less expensive than with the G2s, but I don't quote me on that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just want to get that out there. What now, as far as if you have, so let's say you buy a G3 or the core, and the year goes by, and for many different reasons, you decide to not get the updated subscription. What happens at that point? Now, of course, I kind of know these answers. I just want to get them kind of from you on this.
Well, I mean, first of all, you should feel bad about yourself.
Me personally?
No, not you. Like, as a machine. Yeah. No, yes, you, PJ, you personally. I mean, I say that jokingly, but at the same time, we had a lot of people that complain about various things, and then I'll hear that they haven't actually paid for an update and have been using the machine steadily for like sometimes close to 10 years. I know people that had the first generation machine, they're still using it today. And I'm like, well, how do you expect us to get like better if we don't? There's nothing, you know what I mean? Like we do need that money goes to very good places like paying our locksmiths. We have actual locksmiths, field locksmiths, some of the best locksmiths in the country that do our live technical support. But anyway, to answer your question, the machine just keeps working, and that's something will never change, even though it does hurt us sometimes, because really that was the spirit of the AutoProPad to begin with. This was a machine born out of the locksmith industry with the locksmiths in mind. And some, when I say, the subscription, it's $500 or $600 or whatever for the full year. And I hear some locksmiths go, man, if you can't afford that, you shouldn't be making keys. But then I hear a ton go, I don't do enough volume in vehicles to justify it. And sometimes I have slow months and I can't afford it. And they're grateful that we don't brick their machines in the process, because there are programmers out there that will, right? They just turn your machines a paperweight if you can't afford to pay. So for better or worse, yes, you will miss out on having the latest software. You will miss out if there's a patch on existing software. You will not be able to call wonderful people like Jared Burgess and Chad Harris when you need technical support, but you will still be able to go out and put food on your family's table, and that's what matters the most.
Sure, absolutely. Now, if someone, and thanks for answering that, I have a few more of these.
Of course.
When it comes to like, so if someone right now has the G1, I'll call it, or even G2, what does like, should they be looking at getting one of the G3s? And is there any sort of trade-in, or will there be any sort of trade-in?
Well, I don't have anything on the horizon for trade-ins at this point in time. In fact, the G3s have been selling to the point where, like, I'm right now, I'm out of stock. So I know we're going to do a giveaway here, and that person's going to have to take a rain check until the end of the month until my shipment gets here.
Sure.
I don't really see us doing that now, but it will happen eventually, because, like, I mean, it just makes perfect sense to do something like that. Mm-hmm. And why should they upgrade their machines? Well, I would say, you know, I can understand not making the leap from Gen 1 to Gen 2, the G2s. You know, I know I'm not disillusioned about, you know, how people feel about those machines. They weren't necessarily top performers, but the G3 is definitely a return to form for the AutoProPad. I know a lot of people that have those first generation machines are running out of storage, and it's a constant battle for them to be able to clear off enough of the software they don't use in order to keep the machine functional and whatnot. And obviously you're not going to have that problem with the newer machines. So that's just one. But, you know, we're talking about that machine, the Gen 1, we started messing with the hardware in 2015. But even at that point, the chipset and the hardware was probably already 2 or 3 years old. So, you know, we're talking over a decade has eclipsed. And, you know, you're going to try and use that machine on vehicles that are being manufactured now. You know, you're just asking for complications. There's a lot more going into developing the software to the programming data to be fine-tuned with the newer machines. And in fact, we will need to end support on the older machines probably soon. In fact, probably very soon, because it's just not sustainable for us to try and when we decrypt a system or, you know, whatever we do, we have to create different versions of that software deployment for all the various models. And it's just financially, and, you know, it's just not feasible, and it's a huge time drain. So sure. I don't have any tech in my life that I could keep for 10 years. So, I mean, I just, you know, your key programmer, it's not going to be any different. It's just an Android device, like a cell phone.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, Mo, like for you, like for me, when it comes to cell phones, right? Like every 3-ish years, give or take, I want a new phone. Or, I mean, like how many years are you at with that?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. So we're in about, with AutoProPad, we're in about a 4.5 year cycle. And I do think of these things as like the cell phone releases, where you're not missing out on anything too crazy by not getting the latest and greatest. But if you're multiple generations behind, yeah, you're going to notice a difference. And we're not throttling anything. We couldn't, because if you don't have a subscription, we don't have access to your machine to throttle it. So, but yeah, I think that's fair, just to keep up with the technology. And man, next trade show you guys go to, like, pick one up and play with it, and you'll understand right away, like, how freaking fast the thing is, and not having to sit there and wait for the machine to think about its next move. And then on the vehicle, outside of the manufacturer imposed, like, lockouts, you know, like the 10-minute waits or 16-minute waits or whatever, like, the way it communicates with the vehicle, it's a modern computer talking to a modern computer. It's freaking fast.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Which kind of, you know, brings me into kind of like the next kind of set of questions I'd like to discuss with you a little bit is like when it comes to the future of key programming, right? Like it's no secret that as a lot of these newer vehicles come out, the security in them, the encryption and all of that. Like, it's no joke today, right? Like, for anyone who's been around long enough, like, knows the days of just essentially the OBD2 port, plug it in, hit a few buttons. We wish that was the case on like a 2024, right? And it's just not really. And so I'm really curious on like your just general outlook as far as like as things going, right? I know everybody's, waiting essentially for Ford, right? And to not be able to program the most popular truck sold in the USA is kind of, nobody really wants that, right? You don't want that. People who are programming don't want that. And so I'm just kind of curious on just like the overall kind of look to the future and what that looks like. And then, of course, we'll dive a little bit into NASTF.
Well, I mean, the best I can offer up on this topic is my opinion, because who knows, right? Like, I can try and make some predictions. I guess what I'll start off with is I wasn't around locksmithing before the transponder chip. I was an automotive electrician, but I wasn't doing anything with security. Well, kind of maybe with alarms and stuff. But I hear stories all the time about the guys that have been around for a long time. They tell me about how when transponders first came out, and people had just got a mastery of like VATs or whatever, and then there was a whole, a subset of locksmiths that were like, this is the end of what we do, and the profession's going to die, and this and that. And that completely wasn't the case. And I think the turning point, I guess it depends on who you ask, but from my viewpoint, was like when we discovered we could that 80-bit Ford chips, like we could make them backwards compatible with like 40-bit, so like the era of like chip tuning kind of was on us, and we realized that we had a lot more control over key programming than anybody really thought. The smoke was let out of the box, for lack of a better word. So if you ask there, in that period of time, there were definitely people who were like ahead of the curve, and that they were already studying this stuff, and they were fearless. And then you had a bunch of people that were like, weren't sure what they were going to do, and maybe sold off all their gear and found a different profession or whatever. And some people stuck with it. But I see that kind of again now. I have friends who are, they're like almost 50% diagnostician and 50% automotive locksmith. And that means they have a very firm grasp on the technological side of these vehicles. And not only does that give them better insight on how to make keys for these cars, it helps them diversify their skill sets so they can offer other services that are tangential to what they do. So I think that's basically how it's going to play out, is that we need to be more aligned with other parts of the vehicle that govern the security processes, and not fear them, and definitely not stick to just doing things OBD and crossing our fingers and hope that they stay that way, because they're not going to. So I think the lesson to be learned here is that we need to stay progressive as a trade, and people really need to embrace, like to step outside of their comfort zones, take classes that they would normally maybe avoid. I'm friends with some of the best instructors in this industry. Go take a class on advanced key programming taught by Jeremy Crocker. He's like, I mean, you will understand that it's all this stuff. It's attainable. Eric Lambert's another fantastic instructor for the Las Vegas Locksmith University. Eric Demers. There's a bunch of really great guys that are teaching advanced key programming. Take a class and don't be scared of this stuff. But if you don't, you'll be in trouble, probably, I guess.
Absolutely. Do you have any new, by the way, I mean, while we're on the topic of new and like Ford, I mean, do you have any new exciting info to share on that?
Well, Fort sucks because the encryption is, well, the reason the FDRS stuff hasn't been cracked is I think the stuff that's happening on the vehicle side. So it's like end user encryption. I want to say it's a matter of time, but it's been enough time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that like a signal, for what's to come? I mean, you'd be a fool not to acknowledge it as such.
Sure.
But for us, yes, we do have a new development, and it's on the newer Toyota stuff, the 2018 Plus. And it's something we've kind of been teasing a little bit in the past, but we're getting ready to deploy here pretty soon. But yeah, the AutoProPad will be able to make all keys lost, and add a key for 2018 Plus Toyotas on that newer platform. They'll be able to. Yeah, it'll be all a self-contained process. It does require the internet because there is an online calculation that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But it is self-contained. You don't have to reach out and buy a decryption from a third party. There will be a nominal charge per transaction. I think it's, again, don't quote me on it, but should be as low as $20, I think. Because we have to pay for that server and that decryption as well. But it'll be nice to just be able to do all of that on one machine without having to buy dealer tools or pay for a code conversion. We're just taking our time with it right now because we don't want a repeat of CanFD, because that sucked. In case people don't know, we had a CanFD service and it was going great until it wasn't. But the issue was never on our side. It was with GM, because we were hooked into their server, and they basically pulled the plug globally, not just on us. Mm-hmm. And so anybody that bought into CanFD, like if you have CanFD credits, we will convert or give you the option to convert them to Toyota. And we'll make sure you get way more than what you paid for. So I don't know, maybe 2 to 1 or something like that. For every CanFD you pay for, we'll give you 2 Toyota transactions or something. But it'll be something along those lines, and we'll make a formal announcement once we're fully tested and ready to deploy. But that's happening. It's like an active situation. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's always, whenever you're, with all the current circumstances with using the aftermarket programmers, right? I mean, it's a battle, and the good news is you guys are out there trying things, and it's just really part of the game of the cat and mouse game of key programming, right?
Yeah, it is a cat and mouse game, and yeah, we'll always try as long as there's breath left in my body. This is just what we do. It's who we are. This is something that we do to make sure that our industry, our niche industry, can thrive and survive, because we don't have a lot of help really from anywhere. We have to. It's just an industry of just do it yourself, and for us on the tool making side, it's no different. We have to create something that's dynamic with basically no resources, like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but your locksmiths do that daily, right? Like, we're self-sufficient and self-reliant, and we could try and learn from others, but at the end of the day, we basically have to teach ourselves. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. It sounded good.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about NASTF right now. I mean, I know this is it's a sensitive topic, right? A lot of people have their feelings on it. So some really like it or are pretty, chill about adapting, and then some really don't like it, right? And I'm happy to talk about it however you want, but I'm kind of want to frame it a little bit, just like a little different than normal. If that's okay with you, as far as like your perspective goes, right? I mean, first of all, I guess the first question is, and I've seen some of the comments as we were talking here, does the AutoProPad require a NASTF login?
No, it does not. Not currently. We do have on the G3 a PIN requirement, which is just like the same as you entering your PIN on your cell phone to unlock it. Yeah. That's definitely a theft deterrent. We're trying to make these tools less appealing to car thieves, or not car thieves, but to tool thieves, because these guys will kill my friends to get their machines, and I'm not okay with that. So not a big deal. It's just 4 digits. You pick it, and it just unlocks the screen, and business as usual. And so that's what, and we have some other measures in place that mirror what NASTF is looking for, as far as, keeping the tool secure and keeping the user secure and keeping the public secure, right? Making sure that these tools are not able to be used by car thieves to, well, more often than not, they steal cars and use those cars as they're disposable. They're just using them to commit other crimes, right? And just leave the car discarded at the crime scene or whatever. It's pretty nuts. So will the AutoProPad have SDRM? I mean, it's inevitable. And when I say that, it's because every tool that does this type of work will have that as a requirement. And I already I can physically hear eyes rolling when I say that. But I don't think a lot of people have the same insight that I do, because I'm very close to this thing. This isn't going to go away. We cannot wish it away. And if I'm being honest, knowing what I know about SDRM and about NASTF, this is something that I wouldn't want to go away. I'm actually in favor of pretty much all of it wholesale. And I understand why people are upset, and I don't ever question that. You'll never hear me argue with anyone and tell them they don't have the right to feel a certain way. But I think if people had as much information and insight, which I'll be happy to try and dig into here, that maybe they won't feel as negatively about it. So really, I don't know, I don't know if it's a case of be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. But we all know that this whole scammer thing is rampant, and everyone wants the scammers gone. And it is a huge problem. Even for me personally, where I live, it's funny. I have locksmith friends all over the country, except at home where I live in Southern California. And I know if I lost my keys, and I've actually had friends call me and say, "Oh, I lost my keys. What do I do?" And I'm scared to tell them to check Google, So I would rely on recommending a franchise like Pop-A-Lock, but then the Pop-A-Lock around here, I think they moved or something. They did, yeah. So I can't even recommend them anymore. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah. So you want the scammers gone, okay? That's I mean, I think that goes for everyone. That's legitimate. And then we want, key programming tools taken off of websites like Amazon and marketplaces where they cannot be, these tools cannot be, or the buyers cannot be vetted. And NASF will do both of those things. In fact, I was just at a meeting last week with a bunch of automakers. It was a NASTF meeting, automakers, tool makers, and Amazon, right? Just to talk about this very thing, and among several others. So it's all coming to fruition. And in fact, if you look on Amazon now and you search for key programmers, your search results today are vastly different than they were even a week ago. So there's progress being made. I think where a lot of people get bound up in all of this is like they want to say, well, I'm not a scammer, right? That guy is. So go after them. Why are you messing with me and my stuff? And I get that. Like, I really do get it, because we've been in an industry without any structure or governance or oversight or anything for ever, right? We finally got a nod from ALOA a couple years ago with IAAL, which is still in its infancy. But, it's a very strange thing to see in an entire industry where the top of the food chain is your distributors and your manufacturers. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. I think the closest thing that we had to some sort of an organized anything was probably Just Cars, and even that was really just a show. But then, we had the best and the brightest out in front to kind of help carry a voice or whatever. And I think a lot of us dearly miss that. Man, it's so complicated.
You're doing good. I mean, so like, I want to, like, if we could, I want to frame it just a little different, right? And kind of just get your take on it, right? And the best part is that, like, everybody can definitely, at least around here, everybody can have an opinion, and we respect the opinion, even if we don't necessarily agree with it. It's something I love about the Lockboss community, and they've been so good at it. So, for the record, right, when NASTF first came around, I encouraged and had my dad sign up for it immediately, right? So that's just where I'm at. And he's, signed up, still isn't. Now, it was funny, on one of these lives it's probably a month ago, I try to have him on once a month. I asked him about it. We don't talk about it. We were crab fishing this weekend, and NASTF never got brought up. But live on the internet, I was like, hey, Dad, what do you think about NASTF? And he was like, oh man, he's been, kicked out for a while. He's had all that kind of the normal stuff you hear, right? And so I definitely get it. And I'm curious on 2 points that I kind of find as an observer in this, that I'm curious on your take. Number one is, when it comes to a lot of people in the lock and key industry, key programming industry, there are a lot of free thinkers, right? They operate, they're a lot of them, most of them, almost all actually, are independent, and they really like it that way, right? They like the freedom it comes with and all the other things, they're doing business on their own terms and all of that. And so I can understand why so many people would have this kind of knee-jerk reaction. I always joke about Idaho, right? We're live hard, die free up here in Idaho, right? It's just kind of the nature of the beast. And I kind of feel like a lot of the people are getting upset, they're like, hey, we're independent. We want to stay independent. What is your take on that?
No, I was right there with him. I still am. And no one's trying to take anybody's independence away. And I think a lot of things around SDRM and NASTF are getting blown out of proportion. For starters, NASTF is not a government agency. They are government adjacent, meaning that they work with members of the federal lawmaking bodies, or enforcement bodies, but they are not themselves a government agency. They're actually a trade organization, and I believe the largest automotive trade organization in the country. And but they are also a task force that does deal with things that pertain to the aftermarket, for example, counterfeiting of any sort, whether it's mufflers or other parts of the vehicle, that. They get tasked with these things by either the federal government or sometimes local jurisdictions to go and investigate and report back with informed answers from a perspective of somebody that knows the vehicle. Because the last thing you want happening is the government asking questions and then somebody that doesn't know cars giving answers, because we all know how that story would end. And so NASTF was tasked with getting to the bottom of what's going on in the country with key programmers being used to, for nefarious reasons or whatnot. And then they were also tasked with coming up with a solution. And this solution SDRM wasn't created by NASTF. It was created by ALOA and handed over to NASTF. So this is something that's been in the works for quite some time. I don't know exactly what year, but I think we're getting probably close to it, decade of when that transaction happened. So
Absolutely.
so even within the locksmith industry, there was some acknowledgement that things need to get tightened up security wise and whatnot. But NASTF historically, they've had an interesting journey. Like, I know a lot of people have some issues with them from the past, and you had mentioned people getting kicked out for no reason or with reason or whatever and not being reinstated. But the previous leadership, NASTF leadership, had opportunities. I'll just leave it at that. This version of NASTF with Donnie at the helm is not like the NASTF of 10 years ago. And so I know, sorry, sometimes I'm long-winded or all the time.
You're fine.
But when I first got pulled into this a couple years ago, the SDRM initiative was presented to me as a means to govern, what the tools could or could not do, or how they can do what what they're meant to do, I guess, for lack of a better word. But the protocol at that point was going to require that all tools be online in order to make keys. And my initial reaction within 2 minutes of sitting down was like, you're going to destroy my industry. The internet everywhere between LA and DC is garbage, right? The cellular internet. In fact, I live in Southern California, and I get within 5 minutes of my daughter's schools, I cannot use my phone at all. Like, you don't even get one bar. So it's a deal breaker immediately. And then I explained why. And then we went through, it was the first time ever meeting him. And for a couple hours, I went through and I picked apart SDRM because, he was explaining it to me iteration by iteration. And every single thing I told him was bad and that would ruin my industry, he changed. He changed all of it. He listened. And I was being conservative with my asks. He initially said, all tools must be online. And I said, no, just make it so that every few hours they have to touch the internet so you can, pull the D1s and do all that stuff in the background. And then he went on his own and took my request. He initially had pushed it up to 8 hours. And then he said, no, it's a full 24 hours. Because there's guys that are out making keys on, on rail cars, and they have to do a whole thing of cars, and they can't get back to the internet and blah, blah, blah. So it's not like he just hears it and doesn't do anything. Like, he has listened to basically everything that I have. And that's just one person. Imagine if we all, shared our concerns and whatnot. And then that doesn't even get into all of the other avenues that NASTF is planning on leveraging their size and their power to benefit automotive locksmiths. And we're talking about things like finding ways to offer health insurance, like in a group rate, which all these independent guys, they do not have. I know people that are paying more than they pay for their mortgages just to have health insurance for their families. And that's insane. And automotive insurance and all this other stuff. We're at a point now where we want to see how we can, make up for the shortcomings of even our government and our trade organization, and actually have some sort of licensing or credentialing that makes sense. And we are now actually talking to ASE and we've basically gotten the green light. Again, it's not solidified, but it's pretty much like that there will be an ASE certification for locksmiths, and it will have, like levels of experience to designate, like what's an advanced automotive locksmith and whatnot. And that's exciting because, there's 13 states left that have any sort of licensing requirement. How do you say that one person is legitimate and one is not? Like, let's see what an ASE test looks like. Optional, obviously. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking now.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think, thanks for sharing, where you're at with it and your thoughts. I mean, Mo, from my point of view, like kind of stepping back and seeing a lot of it and talking to a lot of different people about it, like, I'm curious what you think on my take a little bit, which is it feels like the biggest part of the frustration that is being experienced right now is just due to, like, everyone feels like they're maybe being told what to do or how it is. It's not like, okay, here, come over here and sit on my lap, Timmy. I'm going to tell you now what your business looks like, right? And it's kind of funny with that for me a little bit because, like, as an industry that's so independent, kind of on my first point here, the organization and the pooling together and the collective ideas and going forward has always been difficult in this industry, right? It's always been a little bit difficult. And I often wonder at some point if there's a way where in like a more formal type of a setting that people who are in the lock and key industry who program vehicles can actually feel like, I mean, the cool part is you were able to sit down with them and you felt heard and then you got to hear the response, and the response is like, wow, it's even better than what I was expecting. And like all of a sudden you have a lot of trust just got built, right? Really quickly. For a lot of people, I just wonder if there's a way that they can at least feel heard, right? And feel like, hey, listen, I've talked to the people that I feel like, and they've responded to me, and, I feel decent about it at least, and I almost wonder if that would ever be possible, Do you have any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I do. So I think the first problem is, and it may not be entirely NASF's fault, but definitely there's some ownership that's taken on their part, is the communication from their side. It is seemingly non-existent. Now, but if you go to their website, there's all kinds of bulletins and this and that. I might have just reapproached one of the initial problems I discussed, like, how do you reach automotive locksmiths? How do you reach our industry? Right? We don't have, I mean, sure, there's again IAAL, but there's not, you'd have to be an active member to be privy to any of the disclosures that come out of there. And I know there's just at this point in time in its infancy, not that many. So how do you do it? Well, my solution I've offered like NASF, like, the ability to release things through Lock Labs, and I can get that stuff out to the distributors, and then the distributors can, push that stuff out to the customers, the locksmiths, because once again, somehow the distributors and manufacturers are at the top of the food chain in our industry. It's just truly bizarre. So a lot of the good stuff never gets pushed out because there's just not a good way to do that. But now I've gotten Donnie to the point, he's hired a PR firm, and I'll be working with them to help get, some of this messaging out to people so they can see some of the stuff that we're working on. I'm working closely with them. And when I say we now, and I'm not sure if people know, but there's a new automotive locksmith that was just recently elected to the NASTF board. That's Stephen Hoffman. And I know a lot of people know Stephen from Facebook and whatnot. He's a very close friend of mine. He also works technical support for American Key Supply. but he's definitely the automotive locksmith. And if anybody's going to stand up for what's right for this industry, it's going to be him, because he's not afraid to talk anyone down. If you know Steven at all, like, he will speak his mind and he'll make sure his voice is heard. And if you're ever around him or in the same room as him, his voice is always the loudest in the room. So I'm looking forward to seeing what inroads he can make on that front. So yes, definitely an opportunity with NASF to get the correct information out. But then also, NASF has regular public, like, Zoom meetings that can be attended by anybody, really. You just need the link. And if you don't know, NASF, you can get a free account on NASF. That'll give you, like, reminders, and it'll give you the email links. So you can just ask your buddy for it if you don't feel like giving NASF your credentials or whatever. But you can, at the end of every session, they have a Q&A, and you can actively ask the same question that has probably been asked 1,000 times, and Donnie will answer it, or a NASF board member will answer it. Just be mindful that you go to the right meeting, and you don't go to, like, one of the educational meetings trying to talk about SDRM, because they'll be like, well, this isn't the place for that. But hey, I know Chad's in chat right now. Chad, I don't know if you could, what's the name of the committee that we should be sending or everyone should be attending for SDRM? I don't know, maybe Chad can put it in the chat. Anyway, so yes, your voice can be heard, and now hopefully they are working on their voices being better heard, for the locksmith community. But I guess one thing I just want to mention real quick too, and I know it's part of the question you had asked about people, us conducting ourselves a certain way. Now somebody's coming in and telling us what to do. This is a PR problem with NASF, because in reality, the government has asked them to do something about this and the stolen vehicle problem. And if we don't, as an industry, find a way to do this through NASTF, the government's going to boot NASTF, and they're going to come in and do it themselves. And if you think NASTF is Big Brother, wait till real Big Brother shows up. That's not an idle threat. It's already happening. So there's legislation that's being passed. Like there was a bill that just passed in Chicago recently. It's got the AutoProPad. Well, they call it ProPad, but it's got the verbiage down, and making it a felony to own the tool, which some people are clapping their hands and some people are going slippery slope, but really, do you want the government to do this? Because I sure don't, because we all know how that story ends. And so once NASF is able to get their voice heard and people understand that they are a trade organization and not Big Brother or the government, I think we'll be in a better place. Mm-hmm. I hope.
Well, very good, Mo. Hey, thanks for, talking about it. I know it can be a sensitive topic. It can be. And I appreciate you addressing it. And yeah, I would say, I for me personally, like, I completely get where you're coming from. And yeah, it's just the winds of change are among us in different ways. So yeah, it's hopefully I'm really hopeful, just from kind of the outside looking in, that at some point the communication will be a little different, and start kind of getting everyone on the same page. So, and like I said, I sent my dad up right away. And I was like, Dad, like, you got to do this. And I think he might actually be mad at me ever since that. But, if you're in there, you have to let us know, he was like, how much is it for this? And
yeah,
it's always good. But hey, he's still a member, and he did get cut out, but he got something happened and he ended up getting back in or whatever. But yeah, it's hey, it's a good conversation. Good to keep having it. And yeah, so hey, I want to circle back around to the AutoProPad G3, and most something you did which is very nice and generous, is for everybody watching, including people who watch after the recording. There's a lot of people that can't make the live, you really are giving away a AutoProPad G3. And so let me go ahead here, Mo, with us up here on the screen, and let me move it over one.
The Evolution, by the way, not the entry level machine. I'm giving away the Big Daddy.
Yeah, the Big Daddy, which is the AutoProPad G3 Evolution giveaway that we're doing here. So this is how it works. Okay, you need to email us at sales@clksupplies.com, subject app G3 giveaway, and include in the email your business name and or locksmith license number with your shipping address and phone number. We will select one winner after 4 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Okay, so you got 24 hours to send in, or a little less than, it's what, 5 o'clock now, Pacific. And you have 1 hour to, or excuse me, 1 day to send in the info listed here, which is your business name and or locksmith license number, your shipping address, and phone number. We will select one randomly chosen winner, and we'll give you 48 hours, 2 days, to respond to us. And if not, we'll select another random winner. So, and how we do those random winners, by the way, FYI, is we put all of them into an Excel spreadsheet, and then we use a random selector, number selector. We give it, the high and the low, and then it picks a number in those parameters. So that's how that works. And yeah, definitely reach out. Hey, so free AutoProPad G3 Evolution. So make sure you email us with that info. So, Mo, one of my favorite things is on all the giveaways and stuff, and we do a lot of random ones throughout the show, kind of like this, is I love when no one in sales knows I'm doing it, and then our CRM just gets just throttled. It's one of my favorite things,
So
Like,
little
"Hey,
things
what
in
the
life.
heck did you do this time? What did you do?" But
I love it.
yeah, so definitely send us that email, sales@CLKsupplies.com, subject app G3 giveaway. Send us all your info, and we're going to randomly select a lucky winner. Mo, very, very kind of you to do that for everybody watching. I know for sure the Lockboss community will be very thankful to you. So, and Mo, part of like what we love to do about the Lockboss giveaway is, especially our season 3 that we're in right now, is every week, and then at the end of the month, we give $500 store credits out to 5 winners. And the cool part is these people, they buy this stuff, and what you see is happening is people are using it to grow and to build their business. And it's one of the coolest things that I have ever done. And that's something you're doing here, right? You're going to be giving away an auto programmer to someone who's able to use it to provide for their families, to build their business, to make more money, to serve their community, all of those things. And that's really cool. And I just want to say thank you so much for that.
Oh man, thank you, and thanks for having me on. I'm a huge fan. I don't know if I think I might tell you that every time I see you at a show, but this is just the best content on the web for anybody that does the work that we do, and it's engaging and funny and relevant. And I wish you nothing but continued success. You count me as a supporter.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. I really appreciate that. Really do. And well, perfect, Mo. Well, hey, it was absolutely great having you on. And in the background, thank you to Chad and Cody being in the chat and helping everybody out. So yeah, it looks like I look forward to going through the chat and seeing all the stuff cooking in the oven in there. Lots and lots of comments.
I'm afraid to look.
Like always. And no, Mo, the one thing that I have been more impressed about than anything, when I first started doing this, like the biggest thing I was afraid of was like, oh my gosh, like, do I need more bad comments in my life? I'm just not really, and as a person, I don't really post very much on social media. I tend to be a pretty reserved, like I just kind of like to keep to myself a little bit. And so I started doing it. I was, honestly a little terrified. And I just cannot believe the positivity and just the amount of nice people that tune in every week and are part of the community. So shout out to all y'all for being awesome and encouraging. It's so easy in life to go negative, and it's so beneficial to go positive. So anyone who always chooses to go the positive route, or at least the optimistic one and not the negative, man, I mean, we could all use more people like that in our lives, Mo. Are you with me on that?
I'm 100% with you. In fact, I was just having that talk with my buddy, Stephen Hoffman, about just niceness and how great it is to be nice and kind and compassionate. And, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Well, perfect, Mo. Hey, thanks for being on. And I tell you what, so we're going to have Mo back. Okay, I saw some questions about the Triton. I saw some questions about that machine right there, the Black Widow. And we're going to have Mo back on in about a month. And we're going to deep dive into those machines. And I really can't already wait. I mean, I saw some of the questions in there. It was kind of like a dog licking its chops, wanting to get into it. So I look forward to that, Mo, and have yourself a wonderful evening.
You as well, my friend. Take care.
Sounds good. We'll see you, Mo. We'll see you, Cody and Chad in the background as well. All right, everybody. Well, hey, how cool is that? Thank you. Here we go. Thank you so much to Lock Labs and Mo and Cody and Chad for being a part of that. Really appreciate it. And make sure that you send this in to us. If I could do multiple things, I'd be looking in our CRM to see all those coming in. But as you know, I am incapable of doing more than one thing at a time. So I'll look here in a few minutes. So now, Julio, we need to get on to the winners here. You've been extra quiet, which I appreciate with guests on. We don't need, when someone's chatting to be putting on any sort of confession music or anything weird. So good job with that. But if you could put a little music on as we announce this week's lucky winners. Here we go. Now, before we announce them, let's get on the same page and talk about what to do if you win. You want to email us your shipping info to sales@CLKsupplies.com or call us at 800-848-6989 and we'll send your gifts soon. How to win. Comment on our videos with the hashtag Lockboss. Winners will be chosen from comments on the previous week's videos for our weekly giveaway. No purchase necessary. And with that being said, let's get into the winners here. Winner number 1 is George Blair, 7129. George, I saw you in the comments earlier. Congratulations, George. Winner number 2 this week is Professional Noob 2301. Congratulations. Winner number 3 this week is G-Lock Access. Congratulations. Winner number 4 is D's Keys. I like it. I like that name a lot. Good job there. I like it. Congratulations. And last but not least, winner number 5 this week is Rigid Edge Locksmith. Congratulations. Very, very cool. I tell you what, that is our winners this week. Now, of course, here in just a few minutes, we're going to be ending the show, and then we're going to be heading over shortly after into Discord for our first ever party or after party. All right, it's going to be kind of fun. And you know what? I already messed up, actually, Jimmy, and it looks like the video's gone, so I can't play the video again. But I tell you what, if you want to hang out with me, Jimmy J, and all others at the after party, let's head on over to Discord. After I get this shut down here, I'll get the camera and the lights and all that put away, and I will hop on Discord and hang out with y'all. Just a little after party. Really no agenda, just hanging out, talking about whatever. I'm there to talk about whatever you would like to, or if you want to talk about F1 and all the other fun stuff, I'm there for it, I tell you. But Well, man, what a great show. Great guests. Just an all-around good time. I tell you what, I love it. Very good. Well, with that being said, everybody, have a wonderful and safe Tuesday evening. I appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you at same place, same time next week. So if you could, like always, Julio, put some music on to end the show, and we'll see you then. Y'all take care.